All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith at GSD Mode Studios, and I'm here with another podcast for you guys. So I'm going to do things a little bit different here for this podcast. So I was actually supposed to be on somebody else's podcast. It's a business podcast about leadership called Leadership Conversation, the Leadership Conversation podcast. And I was supposed to be on in 45 minutes with them. I just got a last minute cancellation that they had something that was urgent that came up and we need to reschedule. But I'm here in the studio. I was prepping for it. I was ready for it. So I was like, okay, let me just go through the questions that they sent me. They sent me essentially a set of 14 different questions that they were going to ask me for this podcast. And I was like, all right, man, I'm here anyway. They got time to roll through this, and figured I'd just cover these 14 different questions that they were going to ask me and share these with you guys. You know, leadership is one of these things that isn't, I mean, it's discussed a lot in the business world and so forth, but isn't a thing that, you know, as I reflect back on my podcast, and I don't know, 1,400 some podcasts that I've created, something that, you know, maybe I haven't covered enough and in depth enough. And something that, you know, I don't think gets enough attention in our industry as a whole, speaking to the real estate industry specifically. You know, we spend so much time talking about obviously sales and selling homes and getting clients and, you know, recruiting buyers, sellers, recruiting agents, you know, and so forth. But leadership is, you know, something that gets talked about time to time, but not in depth enough. So I thought this would be kind of fun, kind of cool, and just roll through them. I was already prepared anyway, so let's just rock and roll with this. All right, so the first question they were going to ask me is, as you look back, when did you have your first opportunity as a leader? And I started reflecting back on this, and I'm thinking, okay, well, there's times in my childhood, times in, you know, a lot of different times, whether it be sports, school, different, you know, work and different things where you had to step up as a leader, even though I didn't maybe perceive myself as a leader, you know, in those moments. But I wanted to answer this in a different way of, you know, when was the first opportunity I had to become a leader, but when was the first time that I decided I wanted to be a leader? Now, when it comes to leader and being a leader and just leadership, I think this is a really important thing to just point out before I jump into answering this question and these others is, look, a lot of times agents and those in our industry, real estate professionals, will dismiss leadership in that thinking that, oh, this really only applies to me if I'm a brokerage owner or if I'm a team leader. And that's just not true, right? I mean, in order to get to that level, if that's the level that you want to go to, either way, whether you want to be a team leader, brokerage owner, or you want to go out there and be an individual agent, leadership is still massively important. No matter what, we got to lead ourselves. We got to lead ourselves through staying committed, and lead ourselves through our, you know, just day-to-day lives, actions. We're leading our clients. We're leading the process. So leadership is something that applies to all of us at a very, very heavy level, regardless of what level that you're at in your career and what level that you want to take it to, as far as individual agent, team leader, brokerage owner, you know, and so forth. But the moment for me, in my career, to reflect back on my career, where I knew I wanted to become a team leader or eventually morph into a brokerage owner, but becoming, you know, into that leadership role was, you know, when I first started my team, I didn't start my team. I did it out of necessity, not out of want. You know, for me, it wasn't a thing of, you know, I need to, you know, I want to grow a team and have all these agents and so forth. It was a deal where I was busting out of the seams. I just needed help. I had, you know, an abundance of business coming in that I generated for myself and created for myself. And I knew I was losing money. It was, you know, the first time that, you know, it became clear to me I needed to hire an agent was I got a call from a buyer lead, or, you know, just a potential buyer that wanted to go look at properties. And at this time we were operating on Franklin calendar. So I look at my Franklin calendar, I'm 3 weeks booked out. I'm like, dude, people are going to wait 3 weeks. They might wait 3 days, and this market, maybe 3 hours, you know, but they're not going to wait 3 weeks. So at that moment, I was the big aha moment of, okay, I know I need to go out there and get help, because I'm just pissed. Like, people aren't going to wait. And I wouldn't wait if I were in their shoes either. So it wasn't a negative on them. And at that point, I knew I needed to start a team and start hiring agents and so forth to work with me, you know, on the team. But it was out of necessity, not out of want and out of this desire to grow a team. However, the moment that I knew that I really wanted to become a team leader and take this to the next level and became passionate about being a team leader, was I had an agent come into my office that had been with me. This is about a year into being a team leader, and she was in tears. And at first I was like, oh crap, did something bad happen to the client? Did I screw up? Did I do something wrong? You know, I'm not a good don't handle tears well, right? So I'm kind of having an internal freak out moment there. But then she starts explaining what's going on, and starts just thanking me profusely of the impact I had on her life. And it was hey, I'm making more money than I was previously, and had any other time in her career at that point. And in addition to that, just the way that our culture is and the way that I am, because I inspire all of our agents and everybody that works with me, not just to go out there and make a great business, but to go out there and create a great life. So we spend time setting goals and taking action steps, whether it's health goals, personal relationship goals, and all of those other things. But she starts kind of listing, the shape that she's in and being in better shape, having more self-confidence, and just going through this list. And at that point, it just really registered with me of the amount of impact that we could have, or that I could have, in this role. And that was the moment where it just clicked, where I knew at that moment I wanted to go out there and focus on B2B, not so much B2C. Now, it took me years of still operating my team and being in production. And what I mean by B2B or B2C is, instead of working with the consumer, building my business to the point where I could just work with my agents, coach my agents, support my agents, and really, step into that full-time leadership position. And that was the moment for me. I've never looked back ever since. To me, I always enjoyed working with my clients, working with buyers, working with sellers. It was always an enjoyable, I should say always an enjoyable experience. Not all clients are super enjoyable, but overall, I loved that experience, really enjoyed it. But it didn't compare, or it still doesn't compare, to my love of B2B. So business to business, meaning going out there and supporting, my agents and really helping them grow and expand and accomplish their goals and seeing their personal growth. And, to me, that I haven't found anything in the business world that compares, to that. Okay. So question number 2, can you think of 3 significant aha moments that you've had as a leader so far, and what happened? All right, so let's rip through these. All right, so number 1 was the understanding that pain and power come from the same place. And what I mean by this is, I look back, to the awards and the accolades, I've achieved throughout the career. Those aren't that hasn't even come close to registering as the most powerful thing experienced throughout this career. As I I don't know, when I'm speaking on stage or getting announced on a podcast, people are going through, the different awards and accolades that I've had throughout this success. And it's not that I'm not proud of the success that I've had. I mean, I definitely have. And as I reflect back on those, and, still going out there, I'm still, doing this, right? I still have a lot more goals that I want to achieve, but that's not at all, like I said, been the best part, the most powerful part, or what I'm most proud of. What I'm most proud of is the adversity that I had to overcome with those things, and the level of self-confidence that it gives us, or that it gives me, knowing that I've overcome those adversities and so forth, meaning that I know that there's going to be a lot of change. I know that there's going to be a lot of things that come my way. There's going to be a lot more adversity. There's going to be a lot more hardship. There's going to be, life isn't all just sunshine and rainbows, right? But every time that you have an obstacle that comes in your way, you have this adversity that comes in your way, and boom, you go out there and you're victorious. You overcome that thing. It just gives you another bump of internal self-confidence of, okay, man, I am capable. I can do this, to the point where I'm at now, and it's this fine line. I make sure to never allow myself to get arrogant or overly confident or overly cocky about this stuff. I understand that I'm human and I have my flaws, and I understand all that, but I deeply believe and truly believe with 100% full certainty that I can overcome anything that gets thrown in my path. And it will take hard work. I'm not, I'm not one that is shies away from any of those things. But that boost of internal self-confidence, I remember earlier in my career, I used to stress all the time. And when I first got into the business, it was 2005, about 2.5 years into this business, the market tanked. I used to just have so many sleepless nights and worry all the time about changes and about things. And am I going to make it? Can I do this? No longer do I have those. Doesn't mean, again, that I don't have hard times and so forth. But now I have that internal self-confidence, and I look forward to the pain. I look forward to the hardship. I look forward to the adversities. I understand that my best and biggest growth moments in all aspects of life have come from overcoming those adversities, in real estate and not, right? Whether it be overcoming addiction problems that I've had, substance abuse problems that I've had, overcoming obesity, or things with business, getting myself making bad business decisions, getting myself into $100,000 of business credit card debt and having to dig myself out of that hole, having to owe back taxes to the IRS, of north of $40,000 and figuring that out. And, like, even though those moments were painful, getting through those, the lessons that I learned from those moments allowed me to have so much more power. This is what I mean by pain and power come from the same place. So many people try to avoid pain. They don't want the hardships. They don't want the adversity, and they just want to be comfortable, and they want to be happy all the time. Well, look, dude, light wouldn't exist without darkness. Sunshine wouldn't exist without, like the day wouldn't exist without night. It's like happiness won't exist without some, negative shit and some unhappiness and some depression that exists in our, in our lives and so forth. Right. So all of those things make it so much better and so much sweeter, and so forth. So, with this, I've learned that, man, when those painful moments come up, it's not like I'm, sadistic and going out there and looking for pain to be inflicted on myself. However, when painful moments happen and they arise in my life, I embrace it, man, and I run to it, and I look forward to accomplishing that and look forward to the growth moments that I'm going to have as I overcome those painful obstacles, objections, whatever those may be, those problems that I'm having in my life. So that's the first one. Pain and power come from the same place. Number two is that clarity is power. And what I mean by this is it was a lesson. It took me about 4 years to learn in this industry. When I first got in this business, all I wanted to do was make money. I was so sick and tired of being broke, college dropout, making $10 an hour, just sick and tired of being broke. And so I just wanted to make money. So I jump into business. I go out there and I just start working my ass off, and I started making really good money, at least for me. And from where I came from, to me, it was good money. To you, maybe don't define, what I was making at that time, good money or not. But to me, it was great money. Right. However, I was miserable, and I was almost more miserable than I was when I was broke. And I really started contemplating, like, do I want to stay in this industry? I don't enjoy this, and so forth. And what I realized at that point is I didn't get clarity on what I wanted for this real estate vehicle in regards to the life that I wanted this to build for me. And what that did to my overall paradigm is switching it from the understanding of knowing that, okay, this real estate business is a vehicle that will allow me to create and live the life that I want to go out there and live and create. And so like, I don't think any of us live to work. We work so we can go out there and live. Well, I didn't have clarity on what that was. So the way that I look at this is, okay, like, just think of this as like we're all bricklayers. So every activity that we're doing throughout the day, man, we're just laying bricks. So you're just slapping concrete on that brick, laying that brick, stacking bricks all damn day long. So every email that you send out, every follow-up call that you do, man, we're just out there laying bricks, slapping on these bricks. Well, that can become very boring, tedious, and mundane work, and we can get burnout and so forth. However, so I was just out there stacking bricks. I didn't have a vision for the empire I was building. So I had to take a step back and visualize and figure out what I wanted for my overall life. And this will change, as you grow and expand, and you have different wants and desires and so forth. But to the best that I could at that time, I had to figure out, okay, well, what is the empire I want to go out there and build? Get clarity on that. Then let me go out there and identify the architectural plans to build that. So then from there, like, I'm still laying bricks, but every brick that I'm laying has an intention. I know the place of every single brick. And then every brick that I lay, brick by brick, I'm seeing progress. So brick by brick, so every activity I'm doing, boom, I'm seeing progress to get closer to the empire I want to build, AKA my overall goals. But then at the end of each day, and it just gave me that enthusiasm, that passion, that drive that I was looking for. And that's the power of clarity. And I see so many people missing that, and being one of the biggest problems that just exists out there. Most people just don't have clarity of what they truly want for their life, what their end game is, what all of this looks like. Like, why are we doing this? I'm not going to sit there and say that real estate doesn't have its problems. All businesses have their problems. All jobs have their problems. I mean, it's called work for a reason, and it takes hard work to go out there and do this stuff, right? But if we don't know what that hard work is leading to and why we are doing that work, we can burn out, man, and it can become boring, mundane, and tedious. And most people spend more time designing their grocery list than they do their life, creating their life plan, what this looks like. More people spend more time designing Christmas or vacation than they do thinking about, what the hell do I want this to look like for the rest of my life? Why am I showing up each and every day? Why am I doing these, hard activities each and every day? Why am I putting up with these headaches? And when you don't have clarity on that, you're going to be lacking a lot of power in your life. Okay, so The third thing, I used to believe that strength as a leader was not showing any weakness, and never allow my people to see my own vulnerabilities, and so forth. And I, it was a big aha moment, a big lesson I had to learn, throughout this, and a tough lesson for me, but a powerful one, was that, and this is my belief now, is that true strength is being able to understand and identify when and where you are weak, and then going out there and getting the necessary help to overcome and accomplish whatever that is that it may be. Right. So instead of just trying to tough this out of, I'm not, could being a wuss, right? Like, it should be this way. You should be stronger than this, like, I just deal in realities. Okay. What is the problem? Where's the bottleneck? Where's the hole? Where's the weakness? Right. And just understand, okay, hey, I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. I have weaknesses. I have, I have flaws, whatever that may be. Let me identify what those flaws are, what those weaknesses are. And then go out there and get the right help that I need to overcome those, and to get stronger at those, and so forth. So the true strength is in our ability to be able to identify when and where we are weak, and then go out there and get the necessary help and seek the necessary help, which takes us being vulnerable. I've had to reach out to and go out there and hire coaches and mentors, and my long-term coach and mentor for longest coach I've ever had, Camille Rose Taylor, mindset peak performance coach. But man, I was, had a lot of, mental issues, if you will, just of for fulfillment and overall happiness, and a lot of things, there's a lot of things up here. It's like business was going good, but I couldn't figure out this whole thing with life, and, balancing life and business. And, even though I was winning in business, I just never really felt happy. And, I had to go out there, and I worked with her. Now I've been working with her 5 years straight on keeping my mind right. And I understand that, look, my mind, if I don't have the right person helping me in my mind, man, it can veer off and go to some negative places, and so forth. So that's a weakness of mine, whether you want to call it that, whatever. It's like, I'll go out there and get the necessary help. Now I don't have those weaknesses because I've got the right help that I need. I have that right person in my corner to support me in the way that I need to have that support, so I can go out there and create the life that I want to create. Okay. So question number 3, who are 3 leaders who have had a significant positive influence on you? All right. So number 1 is Jim Rohn. I know a lot of you know of Jim Rohn, but when I was early on in my career, this is like right when I started in the business, an agent in the office, Rick Ramirez, came to me, saw me, just a young dude, 23 years old, hustling each and every day. And he's like, hey man, I think that you would really like a Jim Rohn. And he gave me a CD set. It's called The Art of Exceptional Living. It was back when we had CDs and listened to CDs in our car. But he gifted those to me, and I put them in, and I started listening to them, and dude, I was just hooked. And for the first year, that first full year, man, I had the Jim Rohn Art of Exceptional Living on repeat, on loop. And it changed my personal philosophy, which I'll get in deeper to here in the next follow-up question. I'll just do it right now. I'll combine these. But one of the big things, the first day I was listening to it, I should say, that really hit me with it was, he talked about his mentor, sitting him down, having a conversation with him, of telling him that the day that your life changes is when you learn to work harder on yourself than you do in your job. Speaking to self-development. Now, at that time, I never really read a book in my life. Now, I've read books through, to get through high school or so forth, but just the minimal to get done. I never read a book for myself. I never would, to grow and expand myself. I read books just like we all did, because we had to go out there and read it to get the assignment done, to pass the grade, to just get the shit done. Right. And I realized at that point, I'm like, dude, I'm coming out here, I'm working hard. And my business plan at that point was just to outwork everybody, but that wasn't enough. I wasn't working on myself to become better. So that was only going to take me so far. Hard work only takes you so far. If I start also working on my skill sets behind the scenes, then the person showing up to do that work is so much greater and can expand and do so much more. And it really just changed my whole personal philosophy. And I highly recommend Jim Rohn's Art of Exceptional Living. Just download it. You can get it on your, iTunes or your audio, wherever you get audiobooks and so forth. Ryan Blair, who's one of my all-time favorite serial entrepreneurs, and has become a great mentor of mine over the years. By the time he was in his early 40s, he had built and sold and done over $1 billion of business exits. And he really taught me to do business in a way that was authentic to my true self, and to really, just just figured out who I am and what I wanted, and to set up my business in that way and design my culture in that way, and so forth. And he's still such an amazing mentor of mine, through up, and still today. David Goggins. A lot of you have heard of David Goggins. Can't Hurt Me is his amazing book. But I stumbled across that book a couple of years ago, and it made me realize that I was operating in my own comfort zone, so my own level of mediocrity in the success that I had achieved. Now, a lot of people, when I started having this conversation with people of like, dude, I'm living in an element of mediocrity. They're like, what are you talking about? You're growing, you've achieved all this success and you're still growing. Well, I had got comfortable in the level of success that I created, and I wasn't operating at the 100% way that I was operating to get to that level that I was at. Like I was only operating at maybe 50% of my potential, of my capabilities. And I started kind of resting on my laurels, and things were still growing and expanding. And, life had kind of become good, and like things were kind of good enough, and I was getting comfortable. And that really opened my eyes to, I can't have that, man. Like regardless of the level of success that I'm at, I got to still strive and like just operating every day still as if you're broke, just operating every single day as, just you're still hungry as shit and doing whatever you need to do to force yourself to be hungry and be in that mode. And that book, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, had a lot of power on me going through it. The first time, to be honest with you guys, the first time I just ripped through the audiobook, and it was, it was great, man. It was awesome. But then it took me going through a second time months later before it really had that impact on me, because I didn't do the work, man. I just listened through it in there. So I highly recommend the audiobook with this version. Because in the audiobook, not only are they reading the chapters, but then it's kind of like a mini podcast in between each chapters, and he's giving assignments and walking you through exercises and things for us to do. Well, the first time I just listened to the book, I didn't do the assignments, and so forth. And it took me going through it a second time and really doing the assignments and doing the work and reflecting on the things and the challenges that he puts forth through that book, for it to really register for me. So if you're going to go through that and do that, I highly recommend that you go through the challenges that he puts forth in that book. Okay, so question number 4. Do you have any favorite failures as a leader, mistakes that you made that have proved to be informative and helping you become who you are today? There's so many. But I'll go through a few here with you. And I could have added a laundry list to this, but some of the other questions kind of hit on these other points. So I'll talk to you guys about 3 massive mistakes I made throughout my career. Number 1 is I didn't start tracking my business. So I was in the industry for about 4 or 5 years. Even though I had all my coaches and mentors and so forth saying, track your numbers, track your data. And even though, they're my mentors for a reason, or my coaches for a reason, I'm paying them money for a reason, I knew better. I didn't do it, whatever. And didn't take that serious until I had some big problems in my business and realized the pain that not having and tracking my data in my business created for me. Because then it was a point where I started having problems and growing pains and growth problems, and my business started, becoming stagnant. Now, without knowing that data, I didn't know where the true problem was. I didn't know what to go out there and grow, where the biggest growth opportunities are. Tracking is just the cornerstone of our business. Now today, I know this to be true, and I truly believe this, and I'll say this to anybody, even if it makes me sound like a dick, but you're not committed to your business if you're not tracking your numbers. It's impossible for you to be committed to your business if you are not tracking your data and tracking your numbers, because it's impossible. Number one, you can't ever have a predictable measured, you can't have a predictable business if it's not measured. You can't make smart strategic decisions inside your business if you don't track data. You don't know what your time allocation is in your business and so forth. Like, you gotta know your data so you can see what's working, what's not working. You can duplicate results, you can scale results, all of those things. So, not tracking right out of the gate. Number 2 was not focusing on systems and processes earlier on in my business. It was about the same time I started tracking and really starting to grow and expand my team that I started to realize how having a lack of system processes hindered me. Now, if you know me today, and if you ever, come visit me in my businesses, you know that I'm a tracking freak. You know that I'm a systems and processes freak, and there is a reason for that, right? So our processes, our action steps, are our day-by-day actions that we are taking throughout the day. Our systems are what hold those processes together, so we can have those in an organized fashion, and allows us to execute execute on those processes in a more effective and efficient manner. And everything in your business that is done more than once needs a system and needs a process built around it. Number one, it allows you to develop the right habits. It eliminates all of the guesswork, right? But then as you start to grow and expand, you can plug other people into those systems and processes. Because I don't care how great and talented somebody is, if they don't have great systems and processes to plug into, they're never going to be able to show you their greatness. And then number three is not taking the time to master the hiring process early on. When I say master it, not speaking from a place of arrogance here, it doesn't mean that, I'm not always trying to improve this and get better at this and refine this. I always am. But man, I was hiring agents and staff and so forth for like a decade before I started to become really intentional about learning the hiring process, refining that and mastering it, like I did with my listing presentation, or like I did with my buyer's presentation, like I did with mastering lead generation. I spent, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours on those different things, to go out there and become amazing and great at those things. I didn't do that with the hiring process, like I said, for about the first 10 years of me being in this industry. And that led to, loss of millions of dollars, man, by, hiring the wrong people, not hiring the right people, lost opportunities, and so forth. And it just becomes so critical, so crucial. Okay. So number 5, what book have you gifted the most to others? None. I don't gift books. And the reason being, it's not because I'm cheap and I don't believe in gifting books. But what I've learned is that people don't have skin in the game. And look, I know this for myself, right? So I get gifted books all the time. I don't read them. Right. I'm not going to not that I haven't read all of I've read some of them, but most of them just sit on my bookshelf. And I have a whole portion of my library, my home library, that's dedicated of just all these books I've been gifted that I've never read. That are it's got a whole section for itself. And what I found through this is that, when we don't have skin in the game, meaning okay, if I'm not going to take the action to go out there and get the book, purchase the book. I mean, it's $20, for a book, right? So, if anybody has an issue with spending $20 on a book, you've got other issues. I mean, I have books in my library that I spent $6,000 on, $6,000 on. So, if you're not willing to invest in your education, you got bigger problems that, myself or nobody else can help you with. But I think what's more important here is to understand how to identify the book to read. And this is what is so, so important. And I always hate getting asked the question of, what's your favorite books, or what are your top favorite books, and so forth. Or I'll get the question often of, I'm looking for a new book. What would you recommend I read? I'm like, dude, that's a terrible question. A lot of your success will be determined on the questions that you ask, and you got to learn to ask the right questions. So I will spend more time identifying the right book to read than it will actually physically reading the book. So the first thing I need to be identifying is, what is the obstacle that I need to solve right now in my life or my business? That if I solve this obstacle, it will allow me to take that element of my life or business to the next level. So I'm going to get very clear on what the thing is that I need to learn, what it is that I need to learn, that I need to understand, that I need to master. That will then determine the book that I'm going to go out there and read. And then from there, so whatever that topic is, whatever that thing is, so then I'll go out there and start researching. Okay, well, who are the authors of books that have out there that have solved this problem, that had this problem that I'm having, that have went out there and personally done it? I won't read books by authors that haven't actually done this success themselves. So who, that's personally done it, find the best person I possibly can to learn from. And then I go out there and buy that book, right? So I mean, for most people, their self-development is as much of a wasted time as binge watching Netflix or Hulu, it's a negative, bad trap to get into. All right. So question number 6, any great podcasts you're listening to, books you're reading, blogs you're reading right now. So a blog that I read, pretty much daily is called Zero Hedge. I guess call it a blog, call it a news organization, and so forth. But it's, it's a financial blog, if you will, out there. And it's very relevant to what we do here in the real estate industry, keeping up to date on markets and certain things. So I like Zero Hedge, Armstrong Economics. I read that blog on a daily basis. As far as podcasts, what most of what I'm doing right now, I don't listen to typical podcasts like a lot of people do. I'm listening to, okay, what's the knowledge that I need? I mean, this is where I'm getting very serious. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's courses I'm buying and taking, whatever it may be, I'm getting very clear on what's the knowledge that I need to go out there and grow and expand my business in the time that we're in the moment that we're in. Well, right now, there's a lot of crazy shit going on financially in the economy, all this crazy stuff. So what I'm doing right now is doing as much as I can to learn about what's going on and learning from experts so I can make decisions right now to prep. So I know where we're going, right? So I can start making decisions right now on what's the future real estate look like? We got the biggest all asset class bubble, that we've maybe ever seen historically, including the real estate market. The real estate market is in a massive bubble right now, along with the stock market, the bond market, and so forth. So, like Wealthy On is a podcast I listen to quite often. Peter Zeihan I think it's Zeihan, is I should know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a geopolitical strategist that I follow a lot. He just knows his shit when it comes to, like, for example, what's going on with the Ukraine-Russia war, right? And how the impacts of that are. And then I know I talked about David Goggins earlier, but I love listening for just motivation, man. Like when I'm working out or whatever, when I need a little bit extra motivation, just to go out there and get that extra little drive for the day, plug into his stuff. Okay, so number 7. What is a recent leadership lesson that you've learned for the first time or been reminded of recently? Which, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but never get comfortable. So happened to me about a year or so ago, just a little over a year ago, where I realized I was in that comfort. Again, I was living in mediocrity of my own level of success. And that wasn't acceptable. And I knew something was wrong. I was starting to lose a little drive. I didn't feel as excited about just life in general, and I realized that was the issue. And so that was kind of the last leadership lesson that I've had that was really powerful, was never allowing myself to get comfortable and making sure I set up my parameters and my environment, the people I spend time with, to be very intentional with making sure that never happens again to me. Do you have any favorite quotes or do you have any favorite questions that you ask in your one-on-ones or team meetings or any other setting? So I'll speak to one-on-ones with this. So anytime I'm meeting with anybody on my team or so forth, or, consulting client, here anytime that because usually people are calling for me for a meeting, right? Like I'm not reaching out to my agents for one-on-ones. Usually they're reaching out to me for these. So there's 3 questions I always ask before I'm jumping into any type of a meeting. Number 1 is, what is the current problem that you are experiencing that you're looking to solve? Number 2 is, what have you done what have you proactively been doing to try to solve that problem? So I know then now, okay, what's the objective of this meeting? Why are we meeting? What's the objective of this meeting? I need to know what that is, so I can prepare for that meeting, so I can know how to serve and support them. Then I need to know, okay, what have you done actively currently to solve this problem, so we don't waste half of that freaking meeting going through shit they've already been doing. Like I need to, be prepared for this and have this. Then the last question is, okay, at the end of this meeting, what must happen? Or what was the ideal scenario at the end of this meeting for this meeting to be a win for you? I want to know them what they want to get out of this meeting, what a win for them is every time before we meet. So then I can go out there, I can be prepared, be ready, serve and support, get right to that problem, right out of the gate at the highest possible level. Number 9, what's a great piece of advice that you've received? One of the greatest pieces of advice that I've received that's had the biggest impact on my overall success. This was about 7 years ago. First time I met Grant Cardone in person. We were up in Vegas and he was a keynote speaker at an event, and I had a chance to talk with him. And this is before he went on stage, and we were about in the lobby of outside the event. And I had a chance to just talk to him for a little bit of time, one-on-one. And he's asking a lot about my goals and so forth. And I told him, I was like, man, I'm just missing something. I was just won like the 30 under 30 recently, and was named 30th top realtor in America by the Wall Street Journal. But I wanted to get to that next level. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm working hard. But I just, there's something that I'm not doing. I need to add something. I can't figure out what it is, what that thing is that will get me to the next level. And he looked at me and he said, look, you're asking, you're making a mistake by asking. It's the wrong question to be asking. And he goes, and everybody thinks that they need to be adding something. But then he said this, and this was the game-changing piece of advice for me. He's like, success is almost never an addition. It's almost always an elimination. What you need to be asking yourself, you're asking yourself the wrong question. The question you need to be asking yourself, instead of asking yourself, what do I need to be adding? The question you need to be asking yourself is, what or whom must I eliminate, So then I can do more of the things that are getting me the results to make the life or the goals that I have a reality. So what or whom must I eliminate? So he's like, success is almost never an addition. It's almost always an elimination. And you always need to be asking yourself, what or whom must I eliminate? So then that way I can go out there and do more of the necessary shit I need to be doing to get the goal that I want to achieve. All right. So what's a big struggle or a problem with leaders that are facing today in your sector? So this would be for the real estate business. The biggest thing that I see that leaders are struggling with, it doesn't matter what individual agent, team leader, brokerage owner of in our business, is the speed of change. Right. So got exponential growth of technology. It's going to continue to grow. We got, the way that real estate is done, how it's going to be done in the future, just the rate of change and the speed of change. And I'm seeing that, that's the biggest struggle. People aren't able to keep up with that, and they need to be able to keep up with that. Number 11, a movie or TV show that has really impacted you. I can't think of any. I don't really enjoy TVs. I enjoy movies, but just straight up entertainment. I can't think of anyone that's impacted me. Number 12, what's a commonly held belief in your industry that you passionately disagree with? So this would be that, there's one main way to go out there and create success, and see it time after time after time again in real estate books and, so forth, just things like, you got to go out there and be a strong lister and list to last. And there's just this one way or only a couple different paths that you can take to create success that I found to just be utter absolute bullshit. There's thousands of ways to go out there and create success. A lot of different ways to do things, a lot of different ways to think outside of the box and do things, to go out there. And I hate the whole concept. I think it hinders so many people that, I got to operate this way to create success in this business. Nope. Right. Like we disprove that over and over and over again. Number 13. So I just got two more last questions for you guys. So wrapping this up here. Any favorite quotes about life or leadership? So get shit done. Be more behind me here on this wall. So all three are in my office. So these are, there's a reason for this there's a reason why I call this GSD mode, and just get shit done. I'm just reminding myself, because when I get overwhelmed, when things come up, when I, whatever, it's just like, no, just get in the GSD mode, just get shit done, man. Like just quit overthinking things, quit mentally masturbating, just fucking take action and get shit done. Be more, the reason why that's there, the reason why I put it on my body, even as a tattoo, is just that constant reminder of who am I becoming? I need to be more. I know that success is not a doing process, it is a becoming process. So that's just that constant reminder for me to grow and expand and always be adding value to myself. That way then I can go out there and transfer that value to others and whatever it may be. And being more isn't just about business, but it's being adding more value to myself and becoming more valuable to the marketplace and business, but also is just a human being, father, so forth. And then the last one, if you guys can really see this, I know some of you listen to this in the audio, so you won't be able to see this, but this post right over here says, "Be the chess player, not the chess piece." Look, dude, if you don't have clear, concise goals that you're working at achieving every single day, you're going to be the pawn in somebody else's game, dude, right? Like you're going to be used as an instrument to accomplish somebody else's goals. So, I have that in here for a reason. So I can look at that every single day and just remind myself that I got to be that chess player. And it's a game of chess. Business and life is a game of chess, man. And I'm in control of it. I got to go out there and play my own game. All right. So the last question here is, if you could give only one piece of leadership advice to a young leader, what would you say? It is that leadership is an internal process. So it's not this 15 steps to this, and leadership is an internal process. And this is just my 2 cents, my belief systems I'm sharing with you. You can take it for what you will. But I don't go out there. I'm not trying to. This might sound kind of weird, but I don't try to be a better leader. Like and what I mean by that is I'm not sitting there. Like what I'm focused on is I'm focused all on me, right? So I'm focused on my growth, my expansion. And I know the more that I grow and expand, the more that I can transfer my knowledge, my skills, my capabilities, and so forth onto my people. And then also, a lot of people, and this is all still in with the understand leadership is internal. It's like for a lot of years, I used to try to motivate my people. I'm like, dude, trying to motivate other people is wasted time. You can't motivate other people. All I can do is try to lead by example. And through my leadership example, others can be inspired to go out there and maybe do more with themselves in their life and so forth. That's what I mean by leadership being internal. So, I'm looking at, okay, well, if, our business, we got these core values that we're operating by. Okay, I know that it's at my highest level, my job to do everything I can to be at a level 10 of all those core values, right? Leading by example. And then, so like right now the market's crazy, shit's crazy, right? So I'm investing insane amounts of time right now, more so than I ever have at any other time in my career, of educating myself and expanding my knowledge base. So then that way I can transfer that knowledge to my agents and to those in our team, staff, and agents, so that they can go out there and pivot and shift and in this industry and so forth. So leadership, the more that I grow, the more that those that are around me are also going to grow and expand, right? And so forth. So I'm just focused on, into like what do I need to do to be better? I'm just focused on, like, for me to be a better leader, I got to be better. So I'm just focused and obsessed with my growth, my expansion, and knowing that the more that I grow, the more that the people around me grow as well. Not just because, one is because I'm leading by example and they're seeing that and so forth, but then two, the more I grow in knowledge and so forth, the more that I can transfer onto them and share with them and improve and impact their lives as well. All right, guys. So that's what I got for you here. Hopefully this was helpful. Keep crushing it. Keep kicking ass. Appreciate you guys being here, watching, listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.